What's going on, guys? My name is Triforce Addiction. Welcome back to another COD mode video. So today we are going to be talking about the recently buffed Pharaoh. So this is a weapon that I have not actually seen a lot of people talk about, and given that the patch notes, are pretty minuscule this time around, at least when it comes to, other weapon changes besides the nerfs for certain meta weapons, the Pharaoh was kind of one that I feel like was really overlooked. I'm sure there are a few creators out there that have already made videos on this newly buffed weapon, but I don't really blame others that most likely don't, given the fact that there's kind of like this weird stigma with the Pharaoh. I mean, the Pharaoh has always been one of, if not the worst SMG in the game. Basically, since the game has come out, this weapon, this weapon probably came out like a little bit after the original game's release date. And, I think for a moment it did have a time to shine, but after that, it just stayed terrible throughout the entire thing. If anything, of all SMGs that I had to grind gold back when Damascus first came out, I would say that the Pharaoh itself was probably the worst SMG to work on. But of course, keep in mind, Season 9 of 2020 was back when SMGs and just a lot of different weapons were not really perfectly optimized, and the Pharaoh was, of course, one of them. And I don't really think they balanced them that well. I mean, the Pharaoh had a ridiculous amount of recoil, whether it's vertical or horizontal. And not only that, in Season 9, the headshot challenges weren't working that well, specifically with the headshot hit detection. At the time, I don't know if you guys remember, you would have to hit a little bit above the head to actually get a headshot. And given that this gun bounces around a lot, at least during that time, it was extremely difficult to actually get those headshots. And also with SMGs, compared to assault rifles, they're the second most, I guess, demanding headshot challenge weapon type. So yeah, I think assault rifles is first place, SMGs is second. I think you need 80 with SMGs, and trust me, those 80s took forever. But for years, this submachine gun has been badly neglected. Like it like just completely, like it just almost never any changes to the weapon, with the exception of a few minuscule changes. At first, they did something to at least mitigate the recoil issues, but then, the update came out for that and it just wasn't as good as I would have hoped. And then like there was another time where they adjusted the recoil again, and then they nerfed the range so they could balance things out, but it's still, like, I would say that most of the horizontal recoil went away, but at the time, the vertical recoil was still a problem, so it didn't matter anyways. It still needed some work, and here we are today with the most recent change to the Pharaoh, and they decreased the vertical recoil even further. And I did say in the patch notes that, yeah, I wanted to see this more in depth once the update came out, and I was actually pretty impressed when I went straight to the training room to see how changed it is. You guys do have to keep notice that there is still quite a bit of vertical recoil, but at the same time, it's not to the point where you have to completely deck out your attachment slots with range or, recoil related attachments. So this time around, it gives you a little bit more leniency. You can now use combat stocks a little more comfortably, or like any other, speed related attachments. So there is a little bit of more ease of use when it comes to this thing. You won't really notice the recoil patterns too hard if you're around close or near mid-range, but when you start getting to longer ranges, yeah, it's going to be even harder. And not only that, keep in mind, a few months back, they did nerf the range as well, and it was actually a good thing, because if they released it at with that type of range, like this with no recoil, probably would have been awful. And by awful, I do mean in the context that it would be extremely overpowered. But of course, the question is, does this really make the weapon meta, or at least a little more competitive? I would say it does make it a tiny bit more competitive, but as it goes for meta, obviously not. I think this gun's still way behind, and I think it's left for the best, honestly. I think we have already some pretty decent burst SMGs. I would say the best one right now is maybe the KSP. I know a lot of people have been giving the Shicom a little bit more love, but I would still say that the KSP is the best. This one is kind of just for those types of players that are a little more daring. I would say, honestly, to kind of just stack the range with it, because that's when it's at its most effective. Of course, you could also stack recoil. You could use a rubberized grip tape if you really don't want to use a monolithic suppressor, just to at least keep it a lot more stable than before. But yes, like I said earlier, there is a lot more leniency. You could run a little faster, like slightly faster builds with the Pharaoh, and it's a lot more controllable now. But if you guys really feel like you're up to it, I mean, you guys can take it a rank to get it master, or, you know, maybe you camo grind it a little bit easier. I know there are some guys out there that are afraid to actually use this weapon to get this gun gold or Damascus, whatever the case may be. But I think, you know, with this update, it should put your mind a little more at ease. And believe me when I say, and keep in mind, I've experienced this, you're better off doing it now than like before. Trust me. It was just a terrible experience doing it from when the gunsmith first came out. It was an awful experience. But hey, at least I could actually say that I grinded this weapon out when it was at its absolute worst. So the class up that I do have for you guys is the Monolithic Suppressor, the OWC Marksman, the Combat Stock, the OWC Laser Tactical, as well as the 36 round Fast Extended Mag. So yes, you do maintain a lot of movement, and with the range buffs, it does help 3-shot a little bit better, as well as, you know, have a better 4-shot range to hit a full burst. So yeah, anyways, guys, I hope you guys liked the review of the newly buffed Pharaoh. Hopefully you guys try it out. You know, let me know how it feels now, at least to you guys, because I'm sure it's been a while since you guys have used this weapon. I'm sure some of you guys got this gun gold or a diamond and just never used it again. So I want to see what your opinions are about this gun now. But anyways, have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you.